Today we are going to look at the topic of loosening up our art and why it's so hard, but why it doesn't need to be so hard to loosen up our art. A really common story would be someone saying, I just want to loosen up my art. And then on their own they make really good progress. That has worked really well. Gosh, I am on form today. These thumbnails, they are the stuff. Then you go to do the real version and suddenly it's like you're drawing back at high school, your art teacher's breathing down your neck, just pointing out gently all the little things which aren't quite right. Just wrong. Come on. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I'm just doing my best. You've got to do better. This just is not good enough. Come on. Everything then gets tight and overworked and full of fear. And if that sounds familiar, you are not alone. It is definitely one of the most common things I see when I teach. And it's not just in your head, except it sort of is in your head. And today we're going to use a little bit of sports psychology, some drawing science, and a couple of exercises to look at why this happens and help you break the cycle. Plus, of course, the all-important dramatic reference to the English cricket team. Stay with me. So here comes the promised sports reference. And yes, cricket, I'm going there. If someone could translate down below for non-English audiences, that would be great. The English team have an amazing, fantastic tradition of choking. It's not about ability, it's about pressure. As soon as the players get out there for an important match, they start thinking too much, tensing up, and their technique, as well as their batting lineup, collapses. Now, the same thing happens in sketching. When you approach a page thinking you have to be good, your motor control tightens and your decisions get slower, and you start doubting every line. This is backed up by research in performance psychology. Pressure shifts you from an intuitive and automatic state into a critical, self-aware state, which is useful for editing but terrible for flow. Useful, that is, for finding mistakes, being judgmental and being low risk, but not good if we just want to have a go and see what happens. There's a literal stress response here where we tighten up. All of this will get tense, we might get a headache, and it's hard to sketch when our hands are tight and white. These things together means our final piece gets choked to death beautifully through overthinking. So how do we fix this? Well, I think there are 3 drawing techniques that can retrain your brain to stay loose, even when the stakes feel higher. Now, first will surprise no one who watches this channel. Continuous line drawing, which is science-backed and brilliantly weird. It forces you to draw without lifting your pen. And what does that do? Well, it keeps your hand moving. This prevents editing mid-line. It prevents you looking, seeing it's wrong, and being possible to go back. It shuts up the inner critic because you can't stop to fix anything. And it's kind of not your fault either. It's a continuous line. Studies in art education have shown that continuous line drawing increases hand-eye coordination and perceptual focus, which are both essential for sketching loosely. So, try doing a continuous line drawing of your scene before you do a final version. Or better yet, make your final version a continuous line drawing. You'll be surprised how much your sketches start to feel alive again. The trick to take your continuous line drawing further is to recognise that continuous line drawing is also just a mindset. You don't actually have to do it all in one line. What I tend to do, if I get to a tricky area, I do that bit in one line. That loosens me up for the tricky area. If I get to the main focus and I feel confident, maybe I'll let myself do normal lines. A little bit clearer, a little bit bolder, and that will draw the eye. So we can start to mix and match our techniques, not just sort of do something cliched for the point of doing something cliched, but finding the right technique for the right moment, recognising our mindset and when it's getting a bit stiff, and then, you know what, allowing it to loosen up for those few moments that we need it to. On sketchloose.co.uk, of course, as you might recognise by the name, I have some really fun online courses. I give feedback to everything people post in the courses and answer all the questions. I've got a beginner's course which is about understanding the fundamental skills, starting with good habits for loose sketching. If you want to join me there, then there's a cheeky discount code down below. For the first 20 people who use it, you'll get 20% off. And you can start for free, 100% off on my free course. Well, not 100% off, because it's always free. Next, we'll draw like it's a thumbnail. We'll fake our brain out. So we're going to set a timer for 1 or 2 minutes, then draw your subject as if it's a thumbnail on a big page. So we get the same looseness, the same lightness, the same lack of commitment. The size doesn't matter at all. The attitude does. What you're trying to do here is fool your brain into thinking it's just a casual warm-up. And the more you do this, the more your brain starts to loosen up by default. Now, the thing about doing a big drawing in a limited amount of time is that we end up doing gestural drawing. So instead of those really slow lines which can suddenly become oh so bold and not that exciting, we end up with these big flowing lines. And that mindset, the essence, the quickness, enjoying the line as well as the scene, is what a quick sketch can really do for you. Now, on top of your quick sketch, because I hear you, I don't want to just do something in 2 minutes. On top of that beautifully loose skeleton, that little framework that we have on our page, now you can keep working. You can restate some lines if you want them to be bolder and braver. You can add a heap of textures and hatching and spend hours on it. But if you are starting on a rigid and overworked framework, all of this is just going to make things worse and worse. But if you're starting on a loose and gestural framework, then anything you add on top, ink and watercolours, will start to work wonderfully with that and continue that loose and lively feel. As a little bonus, a little extra on this idea of turning a thumbnail into something, you might remember this from the beginning. This was my example where I've got the art teacher looming over me. And effectively what I'm doing here is making some purposeful mistakes, playing up the idea of being scared and it not going right. Well, purposeful mistakes are actually a brilliant way to loosen up. My lines are always very wobbly. The reason I like that is because if I make them purposefully wobbly, I can't make them accidentally wobbly. There's already mistakes on the page. Purposeful mistakes might be these wobbles, they might be looping lines coming off the side, they might be using the wrong colours, or just some chaotic start like a splash on the page and then seeing what happens. The key about all of these purposeful mistakes is that from that point onwards, you've already made the mistake. That frees up your mind. It takes away the fear of a mistake and gives you a lot more freedom to explore. Being able to cope with mistakes is just really a mindset thing. Taking this sketch, which I, started off purposefully ruining, I didn't even intend to finish it, and being able to then finish it and turn it into this, which I am really proud of, isn't anything to do with amazing technique. It's just about my acceptance of mistakes and my experience with developing from that point. Finally, the 3-pen rule. This one's simple and a lot of fun. Take 3 pens, a thick one, a fine one, and something odd like a brush pen, a felt tip, even a coloured pen. And what we're going to do is draw the scene with all 3, setting a 1 minute, 60-second timer, where every time that timer goes off, we have to swap pens. This will force you to adapt. You can't follow a set plan. You don't know how far you'll have got with your line work before you start adding bold, dark marks, or you don't know how far you'll have got with those before you add something colourful or something tonal. You have to keep switching modes. Again, it's a way of trying something a little bit different, taking away the pressure. It's not your fault. How could you have known? And for me, the most valuable bit of this kind of exercise is learning something a bit new about my equipment, about my tools, and finding new ways to combine different and exciting things. And you know what? I actually really like my drawing in the end. Now, even better than using 3 pens might be to start drawing with a fountain pen. So I love my fountain pens because you get so many different lines out of them. Light lines, upside down nib lines, really bold lines. And then maybe pair that with something simple like a brush pen or a felt tip pen as your extra tonal variety. And try this exercise like that. If you ever left thinking your final sketches are letting you down, if your thumbnails are fun and loose but your real work is not, it's not that you've forgotten how to draw, it's not that you're not good enough, it's your brain reacting to pressure. And the answer isn't more technique, it's more freedom. So try a continuous line, fake a few thumbnails, switch pens, trick your brain. Just keep it moving and keep it agile. And most of all, remember, the looseness that you want isn't a style, it's a mindset. Now, if you found this helpful, let me know in the comments which exercise you're going to try, and maybe you did all. Which was best? And hey, if the English cricket team are watching, you guys can do it too.